Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar. We're excited to continue the conversation around service plans. And today we'll be focusing specifically on how to create, present, and sell service plans using DTools Cloud. I'm Chanel, Director of Sales for DTools Cloud, and joining me today is Ryan Schmidt, our product designer extraordinaire. Ryan has been working closely with our product team on the user experience of our service management suite. So we're excited to have him present today. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you very much.
All right, before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. In the control panel to the right of your screen, you will see an arrow that allows you to collapse it for more viewing real estate. And there is also a questions panel. So feel free to ask questions during the presentation, and we will do our best to answer them as we go through. And then also keep in mind there will be dedicated time at the end for Q&A. So you'll get those questions addressed either way. We have a lot of ground to cover today, so let's dive right in. To set the stage a bit, I'm going to give you an introduction to who we are as a company and how we serve our customers. DTools takes pride in providing top-notch service to all of our clients, and we're excited to share more about that with you today. Next, we'll take a deep dive into how easy it is to create a service plan so you can hit the ground running and start building reoccurring revenue for your business. And then after the presentation, again, we'll have dedicated time for Q&A, so ask away, and as we move through the functionality, we'll address them or address them at the end. Oh, and one more thing, we are recording. It's a very popular question. So if you miss anything or want to rewatch it later, no worries. We'll send over a link to the video once it becomes available. Let me start off by saying, as the market-leading software provider to the industry, we are deeply committed to the success of our customers. In fact, the average customer lifespan of a DTools software user, is 9 years. And, we hope that that says a lot about our brand and the level of trust and satisfaction that our customers have with us. We've helped over 7,000 companies just like yours cut costs and grow revenue by streamlining their operations and becoming more efficient. We make a deep commitment to your success. You can expect your team to be fully trained, guided on best practices, and supported to ensure that you get a near immediate return on your investment. And by the way, the product rocks, and we're continually expanding and improving on the capabilities to give you the best experience possible. So sit back, relax, and let us help you take your business to the next level. DTools Cloud is designed to help grow your business revenue. And what we're really trying to do here is speed up your sales process by making it easier for clients to understand and interact with your proposals and get them quicker to that yes and make a decision. We want to engage them in a new and modern way that is more meaningful and promotes brand loyalty. We also want to improve the way your team collaborates by standardizing internal documentation. We want to remove friction from your day-to-day process and your workflow, making it more repeatable. So all of these items combined is a recipe for growth. And as your business grows, our platform will grow with you, providing the tools and the resources needed for success. So let's talk about service, or as our friend Martin Roseman from the NC Group likes to call it, performance plans. And I really like that verbiage a lot because it helps me make the mental shift that after the project is complete, we are entering a new stage of the relationship, maintenance. Today, Ryan will show you how easy it is to define 2 or 3 simple service plans and start including these options with every proposal that goes out the door. By letting them decide on the level of care, it will increase the likelihood of clients signing up for your service agreement. And the business impact of this is huge because now we have set appropriate expectations and can move forward in a more organized and meaningful way. And you guys know your customers. So, just as important as what they are getting is what they are not getting. And then everyone can move forward in a healthy way. Keeping their systems running at peak performance is important for happy customers. So we're happy to show you how we can help deliver on that brand value. So where do you start? Ryan's going to show you some really cool stuff. Together, we'll define what's covered and allow clients to choose their level of care. We'll also walk you through setting pricing. Is your pricing fixed or is it dynamic? There is enough flexibility here for you to set a fixed price, let's just say $100 a month, or present a plan that might be more complex and custom based on a percentage of the project. Then we'll also review contract lengths and how easily customers can choose how they'd like to be billed, monthly or annually. So all this together ultimately means that building recurring revenue just got a whole lot easier. Now clients can electronically accept and sign your proposal and service plan at the same time. Our service management engine is a large suite of features. So today we're focusing on how to design and sell service contracts, but please keep an eye out for future webinar invites that will cover scheduling service calls as well as best practices around how to request and collect payment. All right, so at this time, I'm going to pass it over to Ryan and we can dive in.
So again, thanks, Chanel. And as she said, my name is Ryan Schmidt. I'm one of the product designers here at DTools. And so today we'll be covering service plans. And I wanted to start off just here in Cloud. We're going to jump into the settings portion first. So once we get to settings, you'll see here on the left-hand side, we have a new section for service. And we've got our plans. We have plan coverage items, plan features, plan lengths, plan terms and conditions, and then the rest of these are more relevant towards service calls. So I'll leave those for our sequel, but for today, we'll dive into plans, coverage items, features, lengths, and terms and conditions. And I'll actually start here at the bottom and work my way up. So plan terms and conditions is somewhat self-explanatory. These are the terms and conditions that you would attach to any of your service plans, whether you offer one service plan or 100 service plans. It's the legalese or the legal jargon that's kind of required at the bottom of it to say, all of the terms and conditions that are particular to that plan, and that they can vary by plan. Right above that, we have our plan lengths, and you can set these. We have it broken up into months, but if you wanted to create, anything that's odd month, if you wanted to make a 6-month one or an 18-month one, you can do that. And then you'll see right below that, you could apply some sort of discount to any of them. You could see here the ones that we've already got created. I've got a 1-year plan, a 2-year plan, and a 3-year plan with a 12% discount just applied to this 2-year plan, just as an example. Moving up again on the left-hand side, we have our plan features. And these work very closely with plan coverage items. And I'll get into the difference between those here in a little bit. But features are basically your one-stop shop to kind of call out anything specific to the plan. That can be just a sort of a catch-all area. You can even put things that are not tied directly to the plan in this section, such as we only perform service calls Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, or between these certain hours, or really kind of anything like that. And then again, moving on up, we've got our coverage items. And I've got a few in here that I've already created. We're going to go ahead and create one more. So if I wanted to go ahead and click this new coverage item, we'll see this modal come up. And I'll go into each one of these a little more detail. But they're basically broken up into 2 main areas. And so these first 2 are going to be things that are attached directly to your plan that can affect the pricing of that plan at any time. And then these last 4 are almost sort of more tied to the terms and conditions of the plan that can impact the pricing, whether that plan is in effect or not, such as a truck roll fee. They may only act on a truck roll fee for $50 if the service technician comes out, but it doesn't actually perform any service or something like that. But if I wanted to create a truck roll fee, all I'd have to do is click on that, go to the next page. I can put in any kind of pricing that I want. I can include it on any new service plan that I'm creating from this point forward. And then I can display any kind of text surrounding that. And I can make this, I can type whatever I want here. I'll get into these sort of selected areas here in just a second. After our service and guaranteed response time, probably a little self-explanatory. It's my way to call out to my customer to say, hey, I do perform service after hours, but it's going to be at a different rate. Or I can be there in under an hour, but I'm going to charge you a little bit more for it. And this is also where you could start to distinguish what coverage items you have by plan. So maybe your top tier plan has more coverage items than your lowest tier plan, or the same number, but the pricing's a lot better, or something, to that effect. The one right above that, excess hours in a service call, again, related to the ones beneath it that can say, we'll come out and we'll perform service for 4 hours, but anything after that, we are going to start charging you again for. And like I said, these top two, add-on service and service allowance with additional fee, are a little bit closer to the things that will impact pricing directly on a service plan. So I'm going to click into this add-on service. I'm not going to create one. I just want to show what this screen and how it differs from the truck roll screen. So this is where you can add on any kind of service, and you can say, hey, I want to charge $50 a month for this additional thing, or $50 an hour, $50 per call, some price per year, and we'll perform that additional service once. If you elect to use that during your service plan, we'll come out and we'll do that weekly or quarterly. Really, the power is yours to select whatever you would like to put in there. Now I'll cancel out of that. The one I am going to create just for our example today is going to be a service allowance with an additional fee. And again, I think that kind of sounds a little bit self-explanatory, but I have some text that I've already created off to the left here that I will just copy and paste in here real quick. And so for this one, or you know what, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I'm going to go back. I did mean to do the add-on one. So, I'll go into this one anyway. So service allowance with an additional fee is, hey, I'm going to come out and perform blank kind of service. We'll do it. I'll come out and do it twice a month. But if you need me that third time, then I am going to charge you per call or an additional fee per hour. And you can call that out here, and you can type again whatever you'd like to put in there. So the add-on service that I will be typing up today is that we can replace equipment with no questions asked. And we'll do that for an additional $50 a month. You may use it, you may not use it. It's totally up to your customer. And we can come out and perform that just one time. It's kind of a big deal. That could save you a lot of money in the long term. And so for once a month, for an additional $50, again, I've got my text that I wanted to copy and paste into here. For an additional $50, we'll replace any piece of equipment, no questions asked. Now you'll notice that there doesn't have this $50 right here, and I left that blank for a reason. We can use the @ sign to choose any of these selectors that are above. So I put $50 up there, and we can call it out there. That way, if this ever changes and goes from $50 to $55, that'll update with us. So I'll go ahead and create this. I'm not going to include it in the service plan because I'm going to show here in a minute how to add it to a service plan. So that's been created. You'll see it's jumped down right here at the bottom. Again, you can drag and drop. This is just another method of auto including it into any future plans that you create. But for now, we'll jump into the service plans themselves. Now you can see here that I've got my bronze plan, my silver plan, and my gold plan. And those are fine and perfect, but for today's example, we're going to create a fourth one, and that's going to be our platinum plan. And down here in this description, you can stylize it however you'd like. I already, again, typed something up that I'm going to steal. And again, you can type whatever you'd like here. You can stylize it so that it looks nice and pretty on the proposal once you get to that stage. But for now, this is going to be fine for us. Now, the next section down is going to be pricing. You've got two options for pricing, and they're both going to be set at a base. So if I wanted to call this fixed pricing, we can say that this plan is, well, let's call it $500 a month, which is a pricey plan, sure. But again, this is just a base price. It's not going to include things that are tagged as coverage items, and I'll get to that here in just a minute. Another pricing option would be dynamic. If I were to click on this, it's not going to populate anything on the right-hand side because we're in settings and not already in a quote, but I will show that here in a few moments. But dynamic pricing is really just your way to say, hey, we want to base the pricing of this plan on some percentage of the product's labor cost or product cost or both, or labor or product pricing, or any combination of all of those things per month or per year. And then, of course, you've got your tax field. I won't go too deep into that because that's going to vary by state and other specifics. Below that section, we have our coverage items, and I'll jump back up to that here in just a second. We have our plan features that I had showed earlier that are going to be specific to each plan. You can add and remove things at will, and but they're not going to impact the pricing, at least not right now. And then we've got our terms and conditions. I could add a terms and conditions. I didn't create one just because it's not necessary. It's not required to create one for a service plan, but you will want that in your proposal by the end of it. So we'll go back up here. I will add a coverage item. I'm going to add that one that we created just a few moments ago. And you'll see this drawer will pop out. You'll see it's right here on the side. If I wanted to, I could select several of these. For now, we'll just add the one that I wanted to. And now you'll see for that additional $50, it's bumped our pricing up by that $50 because, again, this is just a base. From here, I'm going to call this done. And now you can see it's been added. It's down here at the bottom. And we can close out of settings. From here, we can jump into an opportunity. So far, nothing has changed. This should seem pretty familiar to you. And from here, we'll jump into this quote that I created earlier for this Austin condo home theater. Now you can see I've already populated with some products and labor. But you'll see, most importantly, you'll see here on the left-hand side, we've got our service plans section. So if I click into that, you'll see the three that I had created earlier, but you'll notice that it's missing that platinum plan that we just created. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. And that appears right here. That'll add it right beneath. And as you can see, or you could probably have figured out by now, you can carry one into the top to say, hey, we offer you all these plans, but this is the one that we recommend. You don't have to, that's optional, which is why I populated everything into other. But we want to recommend this platinum plan for our customer today. From this point forward, we can create a proposal from these. But there's something really important that I do want to jump in to edit one of these to show you that wasn't visible in settings. So if we click in to edit this plan that we only created about 3 minutes ago, you'll see that there's now an additional 2 sections. And these are available in settings because these are very quote specific. And this is to highlight that any of these fields, including the coverage items, the terms and conditions, et cetera, that we set up in settings can be edited and changed on the fly here in a quote. So we do know, before I get into these links and billing frequencies, we do see that there's some costs associated with this, or some revenue rather. So if we change it to dynamic pricing, and if we assume that we even just did 1% and based it off of, again, product price cost, labor price cost, et cetera, it'll punch out a different rate for us. And so this is just one way you can calculate better pricing or optimal pricing for you, finding the right balance between revenue generated for yourself, but also meeting your customers' needs and saving them some money at the same time. Now, I'll set it back to fixed just for an example. Set that back to 500. And I want to get into the lengths and the billing frequencies. You probably remember when we were in settings, I had those 12 months, 24 months with that discount, and that 36 months. From here, I can still add any more. I can still create more if I wanted to. I could change these to add a discount. So maybe for this 12-month one, we want to add just a 5% discount. Maybe we really want to sell this today. and you'll see it'll update right here. Now, what's important to notice about these is that these are not necessarily the lengths or the billing frequencies that you're choosing for your customer, but rather it's the options that you're choosing to display to your customer. So in this case, I'm showing them all three of these and all three of these, but for some reason, maybe I don't want to show them billing frequencies or pricing options for monthly or one time. I only want them to be able to pay annually should they accept this proposal. And also maybe even though I just set this discount for this plan length, maybe I don't want them to be able to sign on for 1 year. Maybe I have a minimum of signing on for 2 years or 3 years. So these are the changes that you can make once you get into a quote. It'll save these changes only to that quote. So every time you start a new quote, everything will be just auto-populated to be full again, but they're just options that you can change and update over time. Now from here, we can go ahead and create our proposal just like we would have any other time. And for this one, we'll just create a quick quote. And you'll see here, we have everything above that you would normally see in a quick quote, but now we have our plan sections. And again, these are the options that you're presenting to your customer. You can see this one is tagged as recommended, which we just did a moment ago. And you could expand and collapse these to show the plan details. I'll show that here in a second. But this is where your customer can come in, click into any one of these and say, oh, okay, these are the options available to me. I can compare and contrast these. And you know what, let me see what this recommended one's all about. They're only offering this to me annually and for a 2-year or a 3-year, but this bronze one, I actually have a little bit more options. And you can swing that in any which direction you want. You can give lots of options for one and minimal options for another, or you can offer the same options across all fields. Really, the power is yours. So I would like to select one of these plans, but I also always have the option to decline that service plan. But for this one, I'm just going to assume that this one is the one I want. So we'll go ahead and keep that all selected. And then as soon as you share or present this proposal and they go through the accept and sign process, such as they would for any other quote, it's all said and done. It just adds it on just as any other product or labor line item would have been in a quote. The only difference is it kind of calls it out a little bit visually for them, and they get to choose between different options that you might present to them or decline those options. From here, I am going to present this. I am going to go through this accept and sign process just real quick. I'll put Brian at DTools.com. And then we'll accept and sign this. And that's that. And the reason I wanted to go through that process for you is to just to show that when we do back out of here, and we wanted to turn this opportunity that we created into one opportunity and turn it into a project, there's nothing to do here. I don't really need to be here other than the fact that you can click into the left-hand side service contract just to review the details about that plan. But if I do click out of here and get out of the projects, we'll jump now into the service section. I'm not going to go through any of the details on the home, calls, or scheduling stuff. That's going to be, again, part of our sequel with Bobby, but I will jump down here into contracts. And you can see this platinum plan that we just created. It's going to be tied to Ben Smith, which is the project client that we just set up and sold the quote for and then turned into a project. So if I were to click into the service contract, one, I'd be able to again see those details that we just saw while we were in the project, but I could also come over to this tab, see any service calls that might be associated with it. Of course, there are none right now, but I could also see the payments. And this will be in part 3 of the trilogy when Kimberly does billing and payments. So again, I won't dive too much into this, but this is where you'll be able to set up recurring payments, automated payments, and start to see kind of where your customer's at as far as if they're past due on a cycle, if they're all paid up, if their contract is coming near to an end and they might want to re-sign for another one, or so forth. And fundamentally, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much service plans in a nutshell and in the weeds. We try to keep them as simple as we can. It really starts to get a lot hairier once you start putting in service calls and repeated service calls. But again, I'll let Bobby handle that one. But I think I'm ready to hand it back to you, Chanel or Tim. And yeah, I'm ready to start fielding some questions.
All right, so let's open it up for some Q&A. And Ryan, maybe just show your screen so that as you're responding, we can kind of reiterate some of what you were showing. We do have a question. There's an attendee that would like to know if it is possible to add a service plan to an existing customer account. So basically, it doesn't need to go through the sales and proposal process. Can they just add a plan to a customer?
That is coming. We have another release coming out next week. And yes, from as of today, no, but as of next week, yes.
Awesome. So yeah, that's exciting. That'll be in a future iteration. There's another question about the discount, that they would like more flexibility when offering discount for someone that pays monthly for a year, and only offer them a discount if they prepay for the year. So maybe just walk us through that again.
So that's some feedback that we've gotten over the past couple of weeks, and that's something that will not be in next week's release, but will hopefully be in the release right after that. It's a good feature, and we're aware of it, and we're iterating towards that.
All right, thank you. There's also, would you handle a first year platinum plan is included? Maybe some more, not sure if you understand that one, Ryan, or maybe just add a little bit more context.
I do understand. So if I do understand correctly, the question is, could we throw in a service plan for free upfront, and then if they wanted to re-sign after that, then they'd have to pay? That's an excellent question. I do not know the answer to that, but Bobby might. Not to throw him under the bus already, but I will defer to Bobby on that one.
I think how you can offer that is you would $0 the plan and then just include it in your proposal for now. But that is a good suggestion of how do I include the first year plan included, and then after that, I'm assuming you want to bill for it, right? Or give them the option to pay for that plan. So we'll take that feedback and we'll add it to our list.
All right. Another attendee wants to know what else is coming next week.
We were expecting this question. Again, Bobby's going to have more information on that. One of the things I can say will be expanded options for billing frequency. So if I go back to a quote, we'll jump into this one because it's not already accepted. And I wanted to edit this service plan. Right now, we're only offering monthly, annually, or one time. We'll also offer quarterly and semi-annually. And like I said, Bobby will have even more information on other features that'll be in the next release tied to service. That's just the one I'm most aware of.
Right. There are a lot of changes in regards to kind of UI UX to help with the experience. Those are still under development, so I'm gonna kind of keep it close to the vest on some of those, the bigger changes, just because I'm not sure if it's gonna be if it's gonna make it into next week. So for right now, I'm just gonna say UI UX changes. For the most.
All right, stay tuned. Next question, what about charging automatically through DTools instead of just sending payment requests monthly and then having that, payment just automatically charged to a credit card?
Yep, that's Kimberly will be able to talk more about that during her payments and payment request portion. And that's something that is currently being worked on as well.
I could chime in a little bit right now. So we are currently working on automatically sending payment requests according to your schedule. But due to like limitations with our payment integrations, we can't save the credit card information and automatically charge them. However, we are working on through QuickBooks, and this is something that will take a little bit of time to come out, but through QuickBooks, setting up recurring invoices. And I know you could then do that through QuickBooks where you save their payment integration. So this is definitely on our radar, and I think we might try and do that later on with our other payment integrations, ProPay, Stripe, Card Connect, but it's kind of just a limitation on their end right now. But the ability to send, to automate those payment requests, that's something that will be coming out, not in this release, maybe the one after, but pretty soon.
Thank you, Kimberly. The product team is very busy, guys. Next question, is there a way to add additional expenses to a service plan? Additional expenses. I don't know, Ryan, if that resonates with you. I don't know if that's the area to capture cost, but I'll let you respond.
We need some clarification on additional expenses.
Yeah.
At any time when creating or editing a service plan, you're able to add additional coverage items, or remove them or edit them to change pricing or language or anything. So even if you have a service plan set up in settings that you use all the time and you have it attached to a quote that maybe has been declined and your customer said, hey, we do want the service plan, but we want this kind of different version of it. Can you maybe make some changes? And if that's the kind of flexibility you like giving to your customer and working with them on, you can do that. I don't know if that exactly answers the question though.
All right, and we'll follow up with that user as well to gain more context. All right. Are there any plans to have more text formatting options for coverage items?
There weren't, but it's something we can certainly talk about. I'm definitely open to that, and we do want to expand upon that feature in a couple different ways anyhow. So yeah, it's something we can bring up and discuss for sure.
And just to expand on that, we are adding an editor, the editor menu to proposals for the service plan section. So that's upcoming, just so you guys know.
Perfect. Now, what about upgrading a service plan? So at any time a customer may want to upgrade from one plan to another. How would we manage that? Would we cancel the last plan and then add a new one, or what does that workflow look like?
I'm going to punt to Bobby again on this one. I believe I remember Mosey asking this question last time, and I don't have an answer. I hope that Bobby does.
Not currently. We are kind of reviewing that and trying to see if we can come up with a process for that.
Cool. And again, we'll follow up. If you have some ideas, we're always open to feedback as well. Can you recommend from a sales perspective some tried and true recommendations and best practices or of scopes of service plans to help close more customers?
I think that'd be a great question for Marty if he's still on.
Mm-hmm.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
We do.
Could you repeat the question? I heard most of it.
Do you have any recommendation from a sales perspective on some tried and true best practices on selling service to help close more customers?
All right, I'll try to make it brief. That's definitely my area. So, number one, build plans that are appropriate for your market. We could talk offline about how to get there, but I guess my top tips would be have two choices that are pre-priced and one that's the variable pricing that you saw in the software where you can do it by percentage. And so like a base plan, a mid plan, and then a custom quoted plan. And then always show to your customers, if they're not on a plan, what they're going to have to pay. And that includes remoting in as well as on site. So they can say, okay, I got to pay $200 an hour every time you remote in, but at $99 a month, I have unlimited remoting in for the year. So you show value right in your documentation between not being on a plan and being on a plan. The second point I would say is make sure that every proposal that goes out or every upgrade proposal, I don't care if it's $3,000 or $4,000, should have at least a plan in it. I don't think I've learned there's really no lower limit about what customers are willing to pay for to be on a service plan. And new customers, the best way to get closing is to have it be in every proposal and have it be kind of blended in the proposal, not shown as an option. It's really something that you consider just part of the way you do business. It's just understood. Existing customers, that takes a little more effort. And so that's part of a kind of a longer rollout, and letting people know that you've woven this into how you do business. You're a design, build, and service, or a design, build, and monitor company. But existing customers would be a much longer answer. But those would be my statements. New customers should be a slam dunk. Converting existing customers, we'd have to talk offline about the best practice for that.
Thank you, Martin. All right, and then another question. I think we're getting close to the end of the Q&A. Is there a way to duplicate a service plan so that I don't have to retype all the features in every plan as I build them?
I did just get done typing up a response to that. So when it comes to the coverage items, that auto include toggle, that will take care of that part of it. But the actual plan features as a default will appear on every plan. So as you go ahead and start creating them and building them out, those features will auto populate anyway.
Thank you. All right. Well, I think that is about it. There's some that will definitely take offline. They're more specific use cases, but we really appreciate all the questions, and we hope that you now feel a little bit more empowered to start defining and presenting service contracts. And as always, our team is here to support you. So please use your in-app guidance. Our technicians are on standby. They're very responsive, very knowledgeable, and we'll help roll this out. And we look forward to you guys joining a future webinar.